Pradita Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pradita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Jai Vishnupaya Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. We're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila chapter 10, entitled Lord Chaitanya accepts prasad. We read yesterday, did we?
Accepts prasad?
Yeah, we did. Yeah? Okay. So we'll continue from from text 73. Pratiroma kupe haya prasveda raktodgama jajagaga parimumu gadgacha vachana. Put the Mridanga is not a prop, so just put it down on that thing. Otherwise it's kind of like next you're going to have it in bed with you. He bled and perspired from every pore of his body. His voice faltered, unable to say the line properly. He uttered only Jaja Gaga Pari Mumu. There's one for you to learn next. Jaja Gaga Pari Mumu. Jaja Gaga Pari Mumu. So this is Mahaprabhu, right?
Put that on the wall.
Okay. So that is because it's he's trying to say Jagamohan Parimundayo. Let my head fall at the feet of Jagannath in the Kirtan hall known as Jagamohan. But because of his ecstatic trance, he can only say Jaga Mumu, Jaga Gaga Pari Mumu. Jaga Gaga Pari Mumu. You're not qualified to do that in the Kirtan yet. Jaga Gaga Pari Mumu, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So he's trying to pronounce.
Do that one instead of that.
Yeah. Jagamohan Parimundaya. Eka dantayena pritak nadi aichinada dantayena bhumi kashipadi. All his teeth shook as if each was separate from the others. Indeed, they all seemed about to fall to the ground. His transcendental bliss increased at every moment. Therefore, even by mid-afternoon, Kshane Bade Prabhura Ananda Avesha Tritiya Prahara Haila Nritya Nahishesha. His transcendental bliss increased at every moment. Therefore, even by mid-afternoon, the dancing had not ended. Sabalokera Uttalila Ananda Sagara Sabaloka Pasarila Deha Atmagara. The ocean of transcendental bliss overflowed, and everyone present forgot his body, mind, and home. Tabe Nityananda Prabhu Srijila Upaya Krame Kirtanaya Rakila Sabaya. Then Lord Nityananda found a way to end the kirtan. He gradually stopped all the chanters. Swarupera Sange Matra Eka Sampradaya Swarupera Sange Sneha Manda Svaragaya. Thus only one group continued chanting with Swarup Damodar, and they chanted very softly. Kolahala dahi prabhuda kichu baya haila tabedityananda sabara shrama janaila. When there was no longer a tumultuous sound, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to consciousness. Then Nityananda Prabhu informed him of the fatigue of the chanters and dancers. Bhakta shrama jani kaila kirtana samapana sabalana ashi kaila samudre snapana. Understanding the fatigue of the devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped the congregational chanting. Then he bathed in the sea, accompanied by them all. Sabalana Prabhu Kaila Prasada Bhojana Sabare Vidaya Dila Karite Sayana. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took prasad with all of them and then asked them to return to their dwellings and take rest. Gambirara dvare karena apana sayana, Govinda ashiya kare pare sambahana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lay down at the door of the Gambir, and Govinda came there to massage his legs. Sarvakala ache e shrudha shudridha niyama Prabhu yare prasada pana karena sayana Govinda asya kare parasambhahana tabe ye prabhura shesha karena bhojana. It was a steady, long-standing rule that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would lie down to rest after lunch, and Govinda would come to massage his legs. Then Govinda would honor the remnants of food left by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sabadvara yuri prabhu kariyachena sayana bitare yaite nare Govinda karini vedana. This time when the Lord lay down, he occupied the entire doorway. Govinda could not enter the room, and therefore he made the following request. Ekapasa how more deha bitarayaite prabhu kahe shakti nahi anga chalaite. Kindly turn on one side, let me pass to enter the room. However, the Lord replied, I don't have the strength to move my body. Bara bara Govinda kahe ekadik haite prabhu kahe anga ami nari chalaite. Govinda made his request and again and again, but the Lord replied, I cannot move my body. Govinda kahe karite chahi parasambhahana Prabhu kahe karava na kara ye laya tomara mana. Govinda repeatedly requested, I want to massage your legs, but the Lord said, do it or don't do it, it depends on your mind. Tabe Govinda bahirvasa tanra upare diya bitaragare gela mahaprabhu re langia. Then Lord Govinda spread the Lord's wrapper over the Lord's body, and in this way entered the room by crossing over him. Parasamvahana kaila kati prishta chapila madura mridane prabhura parishrama gela. Govinda massaged the Lord's legs as usual. He pressed the Lord's waist and back very softly, and thus all the Lord's fatigue went away. Shuke nidra haila prabhura Govinda chape anga danda dui by prabhura haila nidra banga. As Govinda stroked his body, the Lord slept very nicely for about 45 minutes, and then his sleep broke. Govinde dekiya prabhu bale krudahana ajikene etakshana ajisvasiya. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Govinda sitting by his side, he was somewhat angry. Why have you been sitting here for so long today? The Lord asked. Mora nidra haile kene nagela prasada kaite Govinda kahe dvare suila yaite nahipate. Why didn't you go take your meal after I fell asleep? The Lord asked. Govinda replied, you were lying down blocking the door, and there was no way to go out. Prabhu kahe bitare tabe aila kemane taiche kere prasare laita na kaila gramane. The Lord asked, how did you enter the room? Why didn't you go out to take your lunch in the same way? Govinda kahe mana amara sevan se niyama aparada hoika kiba narake gamana. Govinda mentally replied, my duty is to serve, even if I have to commit offences or go to hell. Seva lagi koti aparada nahigani sa svanimita aparad dabase bayamane. I would not mind committing hundreds and thousands of offences for the service of the Lord, but I greatly fear committing even a glimpse of an offence for my own self. Ete sabamane kare Govinda rahila Prabhu ye puchila tara utaranadila. Thinking in this way, Govinda kept silent. He did not reply, to the Lord's inquiry. Pratyaha prabhura nidraya yana prasada laite. Se diva shira shrama deki lagira chapite. It was Govinda's practice to go take lunch when the Lord was asleep. On that day, however, seeing the Lord's weariness, Govinda continued massaging his body. Yaite hapati nahi yaibe kimani mahaparada haya prabhuda langane. There was no way to go. How could he leave? When he thought of crossing over the Lord's body, he considered it a great offense. So the issue here is that stepping over someone is considered an offense, particularly if it's Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Esa bahaya bhakti shastra sukshma marma chaitanyara kripaya jani esa dharma. These are some of the finer points of etiquette in devotional service. Only one who has received the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can understand these principles. Bhakta guna prakashite prabhu badarangi e sabha prakasite kaila etabangi. The Lord is very interested in manifesting the exalted qualities of his devotees, and that is why he engineered this incident. Sanksepe kahilon e parimunda nritya adyapiha gaya yaha Chaitanya-britya. Thus I have briefly described Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing in the hall of the Jagannath temple. The servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sing about this dancing even now. E Mata Mahaprabhu lana nijagana gundi chagri hera kaila shalana marjana. Accompanied by his personal associates, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and swept the Gundicha temple, cleansing it as usual. So the Gundicha temple is washed, of course, in preparation for Jagannath Puri, for Jagannath Rath Yatra, because Lord Jagannath stays in the Gundicha temple.
Just one question. The Harinam that they would do, how long would they last, would you say, at least? When they would go on Harinam?
When they would go on Harinam. Going on Harinam is a bit of a modern term. Yeah, when they would do their kirtans. Yeah?
It is Harinam Sankirtan. No, it is what has been described in the previous...
Yeah, that's true. But the term going on Harinam is a bit of a modern term. But no worries, I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying it sounds funny when applied to Mahaprabhu.
You should say Kirtan.
Yeah, Sankirtan, yeah. When he does Sankirtan. Actually, the term going on Harinam, it doesn't really make sense. It's a modern colloquialism. Because Harinam means, the name of Hari, Harinam. So we're going on Krishna's name. It's like, what is it? It's grammatically incorrect, isn't it? So it's just a modern colloquialism. And it's sort of, so I mention it because it makes sense, because it's become part of what the lingo. But for today's going on Sankirtan or Naga Sankirtan, it was an ISKCON invention. We're going on Harinam. It was a shortened version. We're going on Harinam Sankirtan, which makes sense. But almost no one says it now. We're going on Harinam Sankirtan. It's more like we're going on Harinam. And that in itself just sounds funny when applied to Mahaprabhu and his devotees.
Didn't know how to say it. But then...
So, hey Ramananda, we're going on Harinam into Puri today. How long would it last? Well, it was because it's a raga kirtan, it could go on for a long time. No particular time limits. They didn't have to be back at the Gambhir by a certain time. Yeah. There was no alarm set, no nagging wives to go home to. So it could go on for a long, long time.
Is it mentioned, somewhere? Just to have an idea? Just out of curiosity?
No, I haven't heard it mentioned. Any particular time frames. Of course, the kirtan at the Rath Yatra would go on for the duration of the Rath Yatra. Other times, kirtans would, like for instance, this kirtan that has just been described, the kirtan in the Jagamohan Kirtan Hall, that went on for hours and hours and hours. And then they had to stop because Mahaprabhu's ecstatic symptoms were becoming a little concerning. They were becoming very extreme, as it's mentioned. So they would stop the kirtan out of concern for Mahaprabhu's physical well-being. But other times, often the kirtan would go until everyone was fatigued. So that could be hours. So I don't think they set like a time frame as such. Maybe there was some idea that the kirtan would go for an hour or 2 hours, but I'm not sure if it was strictly enforced. You see, the whole idea is that if one gets carried away in the bhav of the kirtan, then how can you enforce time limits? All right, got to stop now. Ecstatic symptoms or not, we've got to stop.
I didn't mean they would impose themselves a certain frame. Was just wondering if there was any indication of how long it would last usually.
Well, didn't it say here that it went on into the afternoon?
So that's why it's from the morning to the afternoon, like almost the whole day.
Yeah.
Wow.
But during the last 12 years of Mahaprabhu's life, when he was experiencing ecstatic symptoms, he didn't really, we could say, have always a normal routine, because he was so subsumed by Radharani's feelings of Vipralamba that there was no possibility of maintaining a normal mundane schedule. Often he would be up all night experiencing ecstatic symptoms and Vipralamba ecstasies, hearing from Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai, etc. And going through various manifestations of separation. So, you can't keep a normal routine when that kind of powerful emotion has taken over one's consciousness. But I've never heard of any particular time. I mean, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami does describe how maybe the kirtans went on and on and on sometimes. Like we can take on the topic of Srivas Pandit, his appearance was yesterday. The kirtan started at his place when Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya after taking sannyas, when he was 22 or so, approximately. And they were nocturnal kirtans. So in the instance of those kirtans, they would go all night. They would start it in the evening and go until the morning time. So what is that? Maybe 12 hours? And it was said that was done every night for a year. So the whole thing became like nocturnal. Kirtan all night. Sleep for a bit.
Let's do 12-hour kirtans all night. Every night for a year.
Some of us are not sleeping at night anyway.
But that was the rasa. That is known as the place of rasa. Navadvip being Gupta Vrindavan, hidden Vrindavan. Everything that's in Vrindavan is also in Navadvip. Hidden. Because, well, it's not, we could say, the Vrindavan original. It is the same, but it's not as overt. So there's a place in Vrindavan where Krishna performs the rasa dance, and that place in Navadvip is Srivas Pandit's house. So it's the place of rasa, place of the rasa pastimes.
Just concerning the terms that we have to use, so indoors as well as outdoor is kirtan. In this, we would say kirtan.
Sankirtan, yeah.
Sankirtan.
Kirtan, Sankirtan. I mean, Sankirtan specifically refers to group kirtan, whereas kirtan is more a generic term. Like kirtan doesn't have to mean singing. Like talking about Krishna is also kirtan. Glorification of Krishna is kirtan. But when it's done communally, singing, then that's becomes Sankirtan. And then when it's done out in the town, technically that's Naga Sankirtan.
Oh, okay.
Naga just means a town. Or a city in London's case. So, Naga or Sankirtan. Different terms. Sankirtan, congregational chanting. Naga Sankirtan, congregational chanting in the town. Yeah. Nadia Nagare Nitai 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 Niche Niche Gai. Nagari is the town. So, those kirtans in Srivas Pandit's house, they would go all night. So there's one time frame for you, if you want to know. It's a long time frame. But otherwise, the kirtans, I think, in Mahaprabhu's time, they would just have they would follow a natural course in terms of how long they would last. So, people would become fatigued, or they would feel that it was the right time to stop the kirtan. So the servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Britya, sing about this kirtan, sing about this dancing even now. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and swept the Gundicha temple, cleansing it as usual. Purvavat Kaila Prabhu Kirtana Nartana, Purvavat Totaya Kaila Vanya Bhojana. The Lord danced and chanted and then enjoyed a picnic in the garden, as he had done before. His gardens near the Gundicha temple, called Jagannath Vallabha. Jagannath Vallabha Gardens. And Mahaprabhu would rest there. After cleansing the temple, and I think the same place during Rath Yatra, at least on one occasion. Purvavat Rata Age Karila Nartana, Hira Panchami Yatra Kaila Darashana. As previously, he danced in front of the Jagannath cart, and observed the festival of Hira Panchami. Charimasa Varshaya Rahila Sababhakta Gana Janmastami Adiyatra Kaila Darashana. All the devotees from Bengal stayed in Jagannath Puri for the 4 months of the rainy season and observed many other ceremonies, such as the anniversary of Krishna's birth, Krishna Janmastami. Purve Yadi Gauda Haite Bhakta Gana Aila Prabhure Kichi Kayo Yaite Sabara Itcha Haila. Formerly, when all the devotees had arrived from Bengal, they all desired to give Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu something to eat. Keha Kona Prasada Ani Deya Govindatani Ihayena Avasya Bhakshana Karina Goshani. Each devotee would bring a certain type of prasad and would entrust it to Govinda and request him, please arrange that the Lord will surely eat this prasad. Keha Paida Keha Nadu Keha Pittapana Bahu Mulya Utama Prasada Prakara Yaranana. Some brought paida, coconut preparation. Some brought sweet balls, and some brought cakes and sweet rice. The prasad was of different varieties, all very costly. Amuk diachi Govinda karini vidana, dari raka bali prabhu na karena bhakshana. Govinda would present the prasad and say to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this has been given by such and such a devotee. The Lord, however, would not actually eat it. He would simply say, keep it in storage. Darite garera barila ekakona sata janera bhakshyayata haila sanchayana. Govinda kept accumulating the food, and soon it filled a corner of the room. There was quite enough to feed at least 100 people. Govindere sabe puche kariya yatana amadata prasada prabhure ki karaila bhakshana. All the devotees asked Govinda with great eagerness, have you given Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the prasad bought by me? Kahan kichu kahi Govinda kare vanchana aradina prabhure kahe nirveda vachana. When the devotees questioned Govinda, he had to tell them lies. Therefore, one day he spoke to the Lord in disappointment. Acharyari mahashai karyayatane tomare kayoyate vastude namorastane. Many respectable devotees, headed by Advaita Acharya, make a great endeavor to entrust me with varieties of food for you. Tumi sena kau tanra puche bara katavanchana karimu kemane ara amara nistara. You do not eat it, but they ask me again and again, how long shall I go on cheating them? How shall I be freed from this responsibility? Prabhu kahe adivasya dukkha kanhe mane kebaki diache taha anaha ekane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, why are you so foolishly unhappy? Bring here to me whatever they have given you. Etabali Mahaprabhu vasila bojane nama dari dari govinda kare nivedane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down to eat. Then Govinda offered him the preparations one after another. And as he did so, he spoke the name of the person who had given each one. Acharyera e paida panasara pupi e amrita gutika manda kapura pupi. These preparations, paida, sweet rice, cakes made with cream, and also amrita gutika, manda, and a pot of camphor have been given by Advaita Acharya. I'm going to list all of these. Mahaprabhu eats it all. We'll finish there. Yeah.
I was reading before. It said that we said we were reading. It said that Mahaprabhu was going into those symptoms. He was bleeding he bled from his skin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blood would come out from the pores of the skin. Probably blood mixed with sweat, etc. Sweating. I'm not sure if that's one of the, what do they call it? Sattvik abhavs. The 8 traditional ecstatic symptoms, known as Sattvik abhavs. And Mahaprabhu would exhibit all of them. Not necessarily all of them at the same time, but he was exhibiting all of them, sometimes at the same time perhaps, or at different times, during his ecstatic trances. I don't know if bleeding from the skin, from the pores of the skin, is one of them, but Mahaprabhu's symptoms weren't confined necessarily just to the traditional Sattvik abhavs. Yeah, but it's mentioned here. We read it right now. Or did you read it yesterday or something? I'm sure I saw it. So, yes, and other symptoms. What are the Sattvik abhavs? Perspiration, horripilation, which means the hairs standing erect. Yeah, are they crying, fainting? Are they the Sattvik abhavs?
Pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure. You know for sure, or you're just guessing?
From what I remember, it is, yeah.
Okay. Well, if they are, then maybe, but otherwise, if you're not sure, then if you're guessing, you're guessing.
What other symptoms?
Sattvic above symptoms. Well, I know definitely some of them are changing colour, so going extremely white, trembling, hair standing on end, perspiration.
What's perspiration?
Sweating, excessive sweating.
So in some places it says his limbs separated from his body.
Well, they would disjointed. They would become disjointed.
Yes.
So, what's the word? Dislocated. His joints would dislocate. So sometimes arms and legs would stretch out. And then sometimes they'd be absorbed into his body. Yeah, exactly.
Does that mean there's a form, like Jagannath's form? Did Mahaprabhu go into that?
How do you mean?
You know how Jagannath is like, you know.
Well, I haven't heard that comparison. Have you heard it somewhere?
No, I'm just.
No, I haven't heard that comparison. I haven't heard any comparison made like that. It's just that's what would happen. That all his limbs would retract into his body, like a tortoise, it says. But the story of why Jagannath has small arms is unrelated. That's a different story, related to the person who is carving them being interrupted in his work. Him telling, the names of the story, him telling the king who commissioned the work, who was King Indradumna perhaps, that I will do it on the condition that you don't interrupt me while I'm carving the deities. But it went on for a long time. The king heard no sound coming out, so he checked to see what was going on. The carver was like, "Oh, you've broken your promise, I'm off." So he left, and the deities were unfinished. That's why we have Jagannath Subhadra. So does Subhadra even have arms? She doesn't even have arms in the carvings. And Jagannath and Balaram, or maybe she does, I don't know.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't know. And Jagannath and Balaram have short, like stumpy arms because they weren't properly formed. And that's, we look at the figure of Jagannath. The carver has made like an outline. He's like going to make normal deities from them. But he was interrupted. All right. So tomorrow they're going to continue to list the all of the items that were given to Mahaprabhu by all the visiting Bengali devotees, which is the theme of the chapter. Lord Chaitanya accepts prasad. He eats it all at once. And then we will be on to the next chapter, day after tomorrow. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhaktivinoda. So we're reading from Revealed Truth by Srila Bhaktisanta Govinda Deva Goswami Maharaj. You read yesterday. So today will be full nourishment. The practice of Krishna consciousness is our life, and it is necessary to practice that in a fair and perfect way. In our practicing life, faith is the basis, and love is our food. If our love for Krishna consciousness increases, then everything increases. If we realize what we have received from our Gurudev, pure consciousness of Sri Krishna, then everything, every song, every verse, every advice, every thought we will feel, my existence is present there. All Krishna-conscious expressions have a very sweet nature. Tadeva ramyam ruchiram navam navam, tadeva shashvam manaso mahotsavam. Tadeva shokanava shoshanam rinam, Yad utama shloka yaso nugiyate. Tad eva ramyam. Krishna consciousness is very tasteful, beautiful, and ecstatic. Ruchiram navam navam. It can reveal new light and inspiration at every moment. As someone hears about Krishna consciousness, he will not be satisfied by hearing only a little bit of discussion. He will want to hear more and more. Tad eva shashvam manaso mahotsavam. Krishna consciousness always gives everyone's heart the transcendental feeling of a great festival. Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just as we always happily expect there will be many varieties of very palatable Mahaprasadam on a festival day, Krishna consciousness is like a generator. It may be a little difficult to start, but once it is going and giving power, it will run happily and give more and more light to everyone's heart. When Krishna consciousness enters one's heart and receives good nourishment there, it will sprout, grow happily, and become strong enough to bind an elephant. Pariksit Maharaj said, Yash shrinvatam rasa jnanam svadu svadu pade pade. If you discuss Krishna consciousness as much as possible at every moment, very tasteful nectar will come to you again and again and take on newer and newer forms. Vedavyas also said, Nigama kalpa toror galitam phalam shukamukad amrita dravya samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Krishna consciousness is like a very sweet ripened fruit that has neither skin nor seed. As you taste it at every moment, it gives you more and more ecstatic feelings and strength. Bhaktihi pareshanu bhavo viraktir anyatra chaisa tritka eka kalaha prapadya manasya yata sanataha snus tushtihi pushtihi kshud apayo nu gasam. How will you know whether you have Krishna consciousness or not? You will feel it just as a hungry person feels the effects of taking prasadam. With every mouthful, the prasadam gives good taste, good nourishment, and removes hunger. When Krishna consciousness is revealed in our hearts, our devotional feelings and activity will increase. We will feel the joy and happiness of a connection with Krishna in our hearts, and we will experience detachment from mundane attractions, the end of our hunger for material things. Some very nice points by Srila Gurudev. Jai Srila Bhakti Sandhavina Deva Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Hari Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya
Yadavaya
Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan
Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Joy Gosaya Koricha Jaya Rupa Sanatana Patalaguna Shri Jiva Charana Vandana Jaha Hoitai Pekana Sapishta Purana Echo Eko Saya Jara Mui Tarada Tasa Para Pada Raina Nora Panchagra Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanipan Jana May Morale Abila
Shoy Gosai Jabe Broje Koila Ba Radha Krishna Antya-lila Koila Prakash Ananda Polo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Adi Mukdaya Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Koya Harinam Sankirtan Sohei Navatamasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bol 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 Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Sarpar Kara Shishi Guru Goanga Gandhava Govinda Sundar Giridhari Gopal Ju Ki Jai Jai Shishi Guru Goanga Vada Giridhari Ju Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Paravarta Kacharya Varya Astatara Sata Shishima Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Paravarta Kacharya Varya Astatara Sata Shishima Shri Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Paravarta Kacharya Varya Astatara Sata Shishima Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Jai Shri Gaurikishore Das Babiji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Shri Satchidananda Shri Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Shri Jagannath Das Babiji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Shri Rupanuku Guruvaka Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Bhadadev Vijayabhushana Ki Jai Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Narottam Shamananda Shri Navasa Acharya Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Ki Jai Jai Shri Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami Ki Jai Jai Swapashada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai Jai Swapashada Shri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Givi Govardhan Gopal Ju Ki Jai Shri Lakshmi Viraha Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Shri Nasingadev Ki Jai Bhakti Prabhara Parad Maharaj Ki Jai Ganga Janamarti Ki Jai Toshi Maharani Ki Jai Grantawar Shri Bhagavatam Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Vishwa Vaishnava Vajra Sabha Ki Jai, Akamat Vajra Chita Chanamat Ki Jai, Dasiya Sakamat Ki Jai, Vishwa Vyapita Dadiya Sakamat Ki Jai, Shrita Mayapur Ki Jai, Shrita Naparit Ki Jai, Darwin Purushottam Dham Ki Jai, Padade Sujal, Chakanit Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Kun Ki Jai, Siddharshra Ganga Dwajo Ki Jai, Samaveta Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinda Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai, Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Nita Go at Premanandi Haribol.